Here's where I'm not really willing to let Johnny Morton grow, because he said it himself. Like, I think a little bit of growth, but overall, he said it himself. What did he say at the press conference? I've been in football. I've been in the NFL for 20-something years. Like this, I don't get nervous. I've been around football. So when he says all of that, it's hard for me to be like, well, just give him time to grow. It's like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? If he's telling me he's been in football for 20-something years, he's been around all these great offensive coaches, he helped Ben Johnson construct this playbook. You know, he's an offensive guru. He's 50-something years old, so he's not a 30-year-old OC where you're like, oh, you know, this guy, he's still learning. No, not really. And honestly, they also have all the personnel that they have the personnel in place to succeed. So I think the defense, like we kind of said, and the defensive line wasn't great. I completely understand that. The defense late too, like they had 17 points, I believe, going into the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 17 points going into the fourth quarter, which is winnable. Like
yeah.
This Lions offense has been averaging almost 30 the last 2 years. So you'd think 17 points in the fourth quarter would be enough to win a game. It wasn't. And this is the offense, like to start off a game, right? Like you go into the game, the Packers go 12 plays, 83 yards, and a touchdown. So it's frustrating, but you're like, all right, 12 plays, 83. They go all the way down the field, a 5-minute drive, they score. Fine, whatever. Lions get the ball, 3 plays, -4 yards.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. 3 plays on their first drive, -4 yards. That right there is how you lose momentum. And not only that, Packers get the ball back. They go down and kick a field goal. The Lions get the ball back. So you're like, okay, 3 plays, -4 yards is all we have to show. How do the Lions respond, right? Oh, how are they going to respond? 16 plays, 78 yards for a field goal. That's the offense for the Lions, dude. 16 freaking plays for a
and what I add, it wasn't like a clean drive either. Like they got
it was nasty.
Yeah,
it was nasty. Not like a good nasty. It was like disgusting nasty. Like it was bad. So they took 16 plays to get 3 points, and so they kicked the field goal. Packers go down and score. Now it's 17-3. How do the Lions respond? 13 plays for 55 yards, ends on a pick. Like, and so you're thinking, okay, this is bad. That was their drives. They go to half after that. Obviously, the Packers punt, and then the Lions go to half. So they're 3 drives: punt, 16 plays for a field goal, and 13 plays for a pick. That is, in their first drive, they went back. They had -4 yards in 3 plays. You know, this is it's concerning. Like, there's no reason, and this is what I've always said. And this isn't me trying to take a victory lap. I'm just trying to have a legit conversation. People tell me, Jeff, don't worry. And I even bought into it. So shame on me. Don't worry. The personnel, coaching doesn't matter. The NFL is one of the only sports where coaching actually matters the most. It's scheme. You can have talent. You still need to scheme guys open, make things happen. It's like chess pieces. You have to make sure guys are in the right position. It's not like basketball, and me and you are huge NBA fans, where you can just be like, all right, this guy on the sideline could just be a doofus, and they're just going to run vanilla sets and score points because they're playing basketball. The NFL is not like that. You can have talent. You saw it yesterday. They have talent. Now, the offensive line we'll get to, because they didn't have a great day. Offensive line was bad. But they shouldn't have looked that bad with that offensive line. Like, what they didn't have yesterday, they lacked creativity. They lacked urgency. They lacked explosiveness. And if you want to blame all of that on one player with Frank Ragnow, then you can do that. For me, I've seen teams with lesser offensive lines still score points. Maybe not explosive, this Lions offense the last 2 years, but you saw the downgrade in OC yesterday. You saw it. It was clear as day. And the thing with John Morton, man, is, and this is the question I ask, why, if this man is as bright as people say he is, which I'm not denying, he's an offensive, he knows the offense, but so do a lot of NFL coaches. Like, he's been a part of offensive staffs. I hope the guy knows offense. The difference is, can he call plays? That takes another level. That's another skill level. Calling a play, knowing when to call the play, game planning, knowing your players, how to get the best out of your players, setting things up. Like, there's a lot that goes into being just a play caller rather than a guy in the room that just, draws things on a whiteboard or helps game plan. Like, calling plays is another level. That's why not every play caller works out, but most play callers know football. I need to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper, because Sleeper Picks, along with Sleeper Fantasy, is the thing you should be playing weekly, which you can follow my picks, and I will give them to you. All you need to do is choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame, live, or even across different sports. Just pick more or less than the predicted stats. And on Sleeper, you can win up to 1,000x payouts. Share with your friends and get rewarded together. Bears, Vikings tonight. The picks I decided to go with is more on Aaron Jones, 0.5 rushing touchdowns, more on DeAndre Swift, 16.5 receiving yards, more on Colston Loveland, 27.5 receiving yards, and more on TJ Hawkinson, 42.5 receiving yards. I'm going with the tight ends, and I'm rocking with the running backs. You can tail my picks on Sleeper. Use the code CT Sports to tag along. Now, let's get back to the video. They all know ball. Like, if you sat down with some of the worst play callers, I bet if you watch one of the worst play callers break down the game of football, you're like, this guy knows ball. But then you watch him call plays, and you're like, this guy stinks. Like, that can happen too. So John Morton, I don't deny, knows football. My problem is, if he's as sharp and as bright of an OC as everyone is telling me he is, and I started to believe he is, why hasn't he been an OC earlier? Like, John Gruden didn't make him his OC. Sean Payton didn't make him his OC. What am I missing here? I'm missing what's going on with John Morton. Is it like he's the best offensive coordinator that never got hired to be an OC, except for the Jets job, and then after that he never got another job? I don't understand. At 55 years old, which in the NFL everyone's getting jobs in the 30s. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's the big red flag that I mentioned on the show, but I looked past, and I should have known better, to be honest. That's hand up. I should have known better, because I brought it up and then I talked myself out of it. I should have stood on business and said, no. Why hasn't this dude been an OC more? Like, I'm confused. Even in Denver, like, no. And I know Sean Payton calls plays, but you get my point. He hasn't had an OC job since that Jets job. I don't get it.
Yeah, Jeff, shame on me as well, because I was on board with the personnel. You just have too much talent. You can't succeed. No, you're right. I mean, coaching it's like you said, it's so important in the NFL more than any other sport. And you talk about the lack of creativity and Johnny Mo not putting his players in a position to succeed. Jeff, we have 2 of the most explosive players in the NFL, in Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs. There is no fucking reason under the sun Jahmyr should have 19 touches for 50 yards. And I don't know if you saw that stat. I think Justin Rogers posted it. Jahmyr Gibbs, it had, for a player that had double-digit receptions, he had the least amount of receiving yards in NFL history for a player with double-digit catches. That shouldn't happen with that explosive of a player like Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, these checkdowns 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, it's not going to cut it. You got to find a way to get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs in space. He's one of the most explosive players in the NFL. And look, I get it. Jared Goff did not have much time to throw with that offensive line. I'm sure they were trying to set up some sort of deep ball to Jameson Williams, like we heard a ton of in training camp. Like, Johnny Mo's going to throw the ball deep to J-Mo. He loves to throw the ball deep. Then try it at least once. You get sacked. It's whatever. We got to try something. There was no flow in the offense. There was no creativity. It was just they never found their role one time. They never were in like a flow state like we saw last year at many points. So, Jeff, you're right. And look, it's a long season. Things can happen. I think the more this offensive line plays together and the chemistry, that they will gain with each other, it might open up that playbook a little bit more. But I guess me thinking that Ben Johnson handing the baton to Johnny Mo was going to be flawless was just a stupid thing to think, because we saw it yesterday. There's going to be some hiccups, but I didn't think the hiccups were going to turn into big fat burps like yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I don't think anyone expected like that, like even Ben Johnson. And I'm going to try and watch, because this is a sensitive topic to bring up Ben Johnson after yesterday. And I understand it, but even Ben Johnson's first game wasn't this bad. It just wasn't. And he had less talent. So we have to keep it a stack and be like, hey, we can't just blame it on, it's his first game. Ben Johnson had less talent and looked better. I mean, John Morton has more talent and looks worse.
It was his first time as an offensive coordinator. Like,
yes,
like you're saying.
That's a great point. At 35 years old, John Morton's been in the league for 20-something years, been around some great offensive coach. Like, he has less of a Like, come on, John. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kelvin, I'm willing to give a little more grace to. So yeah, it was bad. I think people should be concerned. Again, you don't have a choice but to let this thing play out. But coordinators absolutely can make or break teams, and I've always acknowledged that. It's whether you think it'll happen or not. And I thought Kelvin, I was always more confident in Kelvin, and I've been saying that. But John Morton, I was like, you know what? I don't think John Morton can really. I would be surprised if he messed it up. Well, we saw yesterday he can easily mess it up, so that's concerning. Now, the offensive line, I'll say this, was not great. They were actually bad, to be honest.
Bad.
And that's where I think that's a whole nother topic to get into, because the offensive line throughout Dan's tenure, they've been good. You know, they got Panay, they had Frank, they had Decker, they had parts of Jonah, and you know, they had Graham, but then they kind of retooled and still got Zeitler, and they've always been a very good offensive line. Jared Goff is not mobile, so you need to protect him. And what's the worst type of pressure for a quarterback? Pressure from the interior, especially for a quarterback who can't move. Like, Jared Goff's one of the only quarterbacks left in the NFL that just doesn't move, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a reality. Like, it's obviously worked well for him. He's been really good. But when you're not protecting him, I think that's why a lot of those plays went to checkdowns, because he'd drop back and get pressure. He'd have pressure almost immediately. Tate Ratledge played bad. Graham Glasgow played bad. Mahogany actually had moments where he looked really good, especially in the run game. He's a mauler, but he didn't have his best. No one really had their best game. Even Panay had a down game. So when you kind of factor all that into it, Jared Goff's under pressure. They can't get push in the run game. Like, when Jameer touched the football, there's already 2-3 defenders in the backfield. Like, so it's like, as much as you can go, I can't even really blame David or Jameer. Like, those guys touch the ball, and there's already players in the backfield. And to be honest, I think Johnny Moe wanted to go deep. I thought there was intent there to be like, let's push the ball a little downfield and let's have some explosive plays. I think he believes in that, of course. But they couldn't wait for anything to develop anyway, because there was just pressure in his face. So I'm not saying the offensive line made it easier. It made it harder. But the problem is, as an OC, you have to look at what you have. You have to look at your personnel and understand that your offensive line is not what it used to be. And your job is to be creative enough to scheme around that, figure it out, you know, get quick out routes or be creative in different ways to get the ball out quicker. And I just thought there was no adjustment. I thought it was just basically like, hey, we're going to drop back. We're going to check it down to Gibbs 14 times, and we're just going to call it a day. It's like, that was disgusting. That was bad. Like, and there was just, from an offense we've gotten to see the last 2 years with Ben and see how creative they've been and they're always keeping the defense on their heels. Yesterday, they didn't keep the Packers on their heels, man.
No.
The Packers were always a step ahead defensively, it felt like. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested, or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.